Here we go. Wave 2 of the new Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass is here, and the tracks for this wave consist of New York Minute, SNES Mario Circuit 3, N64 Calamari Desert, DS Waluigi Pinball, Sydney Sprint, GBA Snowland, Wii Mushroom Gorge, and Sky High Sundae. Now, I played each of these tracks a fair few number of times, and I think I'm ready to review all 8 of the tracks for Wave 2. So I'm going to be going through each and every track, expressing my thoughts and feelings on it, then ranking them into a top 8 just for Wave 2, and then I'm going to be giving Wave 2 an overall grade out of 10, and just comparing it to Wave 1. So let's get going. Let's start off with New York Minute. First up in this wave of the DLC is Tour New York Minute. Now, I find this track to be very underrated in Mario Kart Tour. While I really do like this track, I do think that no one really talks about this track very much. I'm not really too sure why, because this track has an awesome atmosphere. I love the fact how this track plays at night, and it gives the track a really cool vibe and identity. I also love the music. It makes the track feel so alive and happy. This track has such an epic atmosphere, and a really happy and feel good feeling to it. Nintendo did a really good job with this track, and while I've never been to New York before, I do think that both the track and the music represents the city very well. A great way to start off Wave 2. Next is SNES Mario Circuit 3. I was surprised to see this track come back, because I would have thought Nintendo would bring back SNES Mario Circuit 2 because of the jump at the end, that Nintendo can easily turn into a gliding jump, but alas, they chose to bring back Mario Circuit 3. This track does have a fairly simple design, but that does not mean it's an easy track. It's definitely not a starter track, not in the same way 3DS Toad Circuit is. This track is quite hard, and when I played this track for the first time, I did have quite a hard time with it due to all the twists and turns on this track. But with practice, it should get a lot easier. This track did come back in Mario Kart Wii, and I do feel that this version is way better than the Wii's remake, because graphically this track looks a lot prettier and more colourful in this version. So yeah, I really do like this track, but it is far from the best. Next is Calamari Desert. Now, Calamari Desert is one of the few desert tracks in the franchise that I really like, because of the train and the way it interacts with the racers. I was glad to see it come back in Mario Kart 7, and really happy that it has returned once more in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And wow. What Nintendo has done to this track was way beyond my expectations. I loved this remake. The first lap is more or less the same, but on the second lap you get to drive on the train tracks and have the train driving towards you, which is something that the Mario Kart 7 or even the original Mario Kart 64 version lacked, because that part got introduced in Mario Kart Tour, and it made an already great track even better. You start the final lap on the train tracks, and then you exit the train track and drive on the normal route back to the finish. It's so good. Nintendo didn't even have to make that change. They could have just kept it the same as to Mario Kart 64, but they made the change and it's epic. This version of Calamari Desert is by far the best remake of this track, simply because you get to drive on the train tracks. It's such a welcome and awesome addition to an already great track. Next up is the fan favourite for Wave 2, DS Waluigi Pinball. Now, I wasn't really as excited for this track as everybody else was, because I do find this track to be a little bit overrated. But this remake I actually do kind of like. I mean, I obviously don't think it's better than the original DS version, but I do think it's better than the Mario Kart 7's remake. I think Nintendo could have done a bit more with this track though. For instance, when you drive on the green section of the track, Nintendo could have implemented some anti-gravity in that section, since the floor on that feels really slanted, and you kind of do feel quite floaty on that bit as well. So I do feel that that was a missed opportunity. Overall, it is a good track, but I don't think that there's really anything too special to this track, and I just think that just because I find this track overrated. But if I look at it from a non-biased point of view, then this track is really good and it looks really pretty in HD. So yeah, a good remake. I am pleased that Nintendo did put it into the new DLC, but they just could have done a bit more to it. Next is Sydney Sprint. My word, this track is massive. I can't believe that this track is so big. This track also has the same gimmick as Tokyo Blur in the last wave, being that the track changes every lap. And I love the track even more than New York Minute. The sheer size of this track just makes this track feel so good. There's a lot to take in, and the music is so vibrant and energetic. Although the music is a little bit repetitive though. I do think the loop is a bit too short, but it won't knock down the track too much. I also love how there are Toes and Shy Guys watching the race as well. This track is epic, and so far it is the best city track in the new DLC, and that includes the first wave of city tracks as well, so it is really good. Okay, here we go. GBA Snowland. This is the track that I was most looking forward to. So yeah, kind of ironic for me to be saying this, because if you've been subscribed to me for a while, you know that I absolutely hated the original Game Boy Advance version of GBA Snowland, because I found this track to be very annoying due to the violent shaking of the screen throughout the entire track, and it just gave me a headache. In fact, it was so bad, I labelled the original GBA Snowland as the worst track in the entire franchise. So, I was pretty excited, but mostly curious to see how Nintendo would improve this track, because honestly they couldn't really do any worse than the original track. And, my word, Nintendo, what an improvement. For some reason, Nintendo has a really good track record of remaking GBA tracks in Mario Kart 8, and this includes the base game. All of the GBA remakes have been so good in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and now I love this track. For starters, Nintendo has fixed the biggest problem with the original version, the shaking. This track no longer shakes, so I can now no longer have a headache whilst playing this track. I can enjoy racing on it. Not only just that, but Nintendo also upgraded the music, and the new music sounds beautiful. I love it. Also, this is one of the best graphically looking tracks in the franchise. This track looks phenomenal in HD. I also love the penguins that glide across the track as well. And finally, the background. Yeah, I don't normally talk about the background in Mario Kart tracks, but I love how Nintendo left in the glaciers in the background from the original version and upgraded it to make it look more modern. My word, Nintendo, what have you done to this track? How on earth did you manage to turn the worst track in the entire franchise into one of the best tracks in the entire franchise? It doesn't make sense. This track is meant to be bad. It's meant to be terrible. A laughing stock. Annoying. The worst track in existence. But one HD remake later, and it's one of the best retro tracks in the franchise. Wow, Nintendo, hats off to you. I can now finally say that there is no such thing as a bad Mario Kart track. Before, the saying was, there's no such thing as a bad Mario Kart track except for GBA Snowland. But now, I don't have to say that anymore. There's no such thing as a bad Mario Kart track, end of. Nintendo, you legends, you have done the impossible. Something that I never thought you would ever do in your entire existence as a company. And that was to make me love GBA Snowland. And you've done that! You have made me love GBA Snowland! Oh my word! I'm actually... How did you do this, Nintendo? I am in love with GBA Snowland! And that's a sentence I thought I would never say in my entire life. But here I am, praising the worst track in the entire franchise. It feels so weird. Honestly, I can't believe I just spent about almost 4 minutes praising the worst track in the franchise. But, my word, here I am, praising GBA Snowland. Feels so weird, but here I am, and I can now say with confidence, I love GBA Snowland. Next is Wii's Mushroom Gorge, and yep, There isn't really too much to say about this track. It's a very yeah whatever track. I mean, it's definitely a good track, don't get me wrong, and it is a pretty iconic track as well, but compared to all the other tracks, it's kind of feels like a very uninteresting track, a bit uninspiring. There isn't really too much to say about this track. I mean, I suppose I like the gliding jump, but yeah, I do think that the mushrooms are bouncier in this version than in the Mario Kart 7 and Mario Kart Wii's version, but apart from that, it's just classic Mushroom Gorge. What more do you want me to say about this track? And last but not least is Sky High Sunday. Now this track is just a glorified circle, which is alright, it's not necessarily a bad thing because this track is pretty cool. I do like the ice cream theme to this course, as well as the fact that this track is in anti-gravity, which makes it the first track in the Booster Course Pass to have anti-gravity. I mean, wow Nintendo, only took you 16 tracks, but you know. I also love how when you bump into the barriers you'll get a speed boost, and you can use those speed boosts to get some serious speed. This track is also very trick heavy as well. Honestly, for a glorified circle, this track is pretty good, and it's kind of like a more epic version of its Sight Bike Arena. However, I do wish that Nintendo was a bit more adventurous with this track. I mean, this track is just a circle, but a pretty cool one. But yeah, this track did disappoint a little bit, but it is still a good track. I love the Moo Moo Meadows reference as well. It's kind of like they milked the cows from Moo Moo Meadows and used that milk to make the ice cream in Sky High Sunday. I love little Easter eggs like that makes the Mushroom Kingdom feel like a real place. So yeah, pretty good track, but just a little bit disappointing. So this is my top 8 list for Wave 2 of the new DLC. So my favourite is GBA Snowland, and honestly I think GBA Snowland more than deserves to win Wave 2. The improvements Nintendo did to that track are simply amazing, and I just cannot ignore it. So GBA Snowland more than deserves to be number 1 and has won Wave 2, with N64 Choco Mountain winning Wave 1. My second favourite is N64 Calamari Desert, my third favourite Simply Sprint, my fourth favourite is New York Minute, my fifth favourite is DS Waluigi Pinball, my sixth favourite is Sky High Sunday, seventh is SNES Mario Circuit 3, and my least favourite track of Wave 2 is Wii Mushroom Gorge. So overall, I know how I said at the beginning how I thought Wave 1 was better than Wave 2, but actually playing the tracks when Wave 2 actually came out, I actually did have more of a good time playing Wave 2 rather than Wave 1. I think the quality of the tracks overall, as a whole, just how it looks graphically and also how it functions and what Nintendo did to change the track, I think Nintendo did a lot more with Wave 2 than they did with Wave 1. So I actually do think that Wave 2, upon playing both of the waves, is actually the stronger wave. So overall, I would give Wave 2 of the new DLC a really strong score of 8.5 out of 10.